Hey, it's Aaron the Ho from Mobile Reviews 8.ca, and today we're going to do a review of the Pebble Time smartwatch, which is this white watch that I've been wearing for the last month or so. You may have seen it in some of the videos. All in all, it's way better than the Pebble Classic. It comes nowhere near any sort of Android Wear or Apple Watch. Pebble Time has an e-ink screen, a 7-day battery, and allows you to go swimming with it. If you look closely at the watch face, it looks weird, does it not? And I'll point that out later on. The Pebble Time has an e-ink screen, 7-day battery, and allows you to go swimming with it. The greatest strength of the Pebble are all the apps that you can install in it, which is kind of why it's better than most other fitness-based smartwatches if you're not a fitness buff. Now, no matter how I look at it, the Pebble Time isn't as good as my Android Wear Moto 360, the Samsung Gear S, and the Apple Watch, and really, it doesn't look or feel that smart. In terms of general functionality, and in my opinion, it really doesn't look or feel smart at all. There are some other oddities that really annoyed me during the setup process, and I'll get to that in a bit. Now for my Pebble Time review, I've given it a score of 3.8 A's out of 5. It does better than the Pebble Classic, but in my opinion, not as well as the 360, and definitely not as well as the Apple Watch and the Samsung Gear S. If you'd rather read the rest of this review, find it on my website, and if you're looking to compare this against other smartwatches, check out my comparison tool.
Real usage, real reviews. Mobile Reviews A.ca.
Now at Mobile Reviews 8.ca, we base everything we do on actual usage, which is kind of why these reviews take a long time to come out. The Pebble Time has been out for a while now, but you know, I like to use my stuff before I actually do the review so I can actually provide something of value to you guys. And throughout this entire review period, I've paired it with both an iPhone and an Android. I came to realize that the Pebble Time in general was actually quite disappointing. The Pebble Classic was my first smartwatch and in many ways was like my first feature phone. It was so different. It was life-changing because I could call people with having my parents eavesdrop on me. You go from this feature phone to a smartphone and wow, your life is just so much better with a smartphone because it does so many more awesome things. The Pebble Classic was my first smartwatch, kind of like my first feature phone, and then I moved to the Apple Watch or the Gear S, and you really notice a big jump in the functionality because these powerful smartwatches do way more. But then getting the Pebble Time, it was almost like a backward step because I was getting an updated feature phone, not an updated smartphone. The Pebble Time does improve on the Pebble Classic, but everything about it just feels old. It doesn't feel modern, and after using it for a while, it feels quite antiquated. And what would you expect from a $200 smartwatch? You know, it's half the price of a Apple Watch, it's half the price of a Samsung Gear S, but it's kind of on the same price level as a Moto 360, and this thing works way better than the Pebble Time, in my opinion anyways, and that's about as most unbiased as I can get. Again, that's my opinion based on my usage. So let's get to the other parts of the review. In terms of design, the Pebble Time looks much better than the Pebble Classic, but when compared to other modern smartwatches, it physically doesn't stand out. It's a little more comfortable to wear than the old Classic, as I didn't really notice the tailing that occurred. My white Pebble Time didn't take on any new colors when I was using it, which is nice. And like the Moto 360, it is compatible with other 22mm watch bands. In terms of durability, it claims to have a 7-day battery, but I found myself recharging the watch at least twice a week. Unlike other smartwatches, the Pebble Time is one you can actually go swimming and or shower with it if you really wanted to. In terms of functionality, the Pebble Time doesn't add much more than the Pebble Classic. The timeline is probably the most standout feature of the Pebble Time, as being able to move forward and backwards through your calendar is going to be very, very useful with people with very full calendars, and I'm stressing the word very full calendars. This smartwatch is compatible with both iOS and Android devices, but oddly enough, in terms of managing your Pebble Time, you need a different Pebble app. The extra app seems really odd to me, and during the entire setup process, they don't actually tell you that it's a different app. If you want to know what I think of the Pebble Classic, I've done a full review for this as well. The links are in the eye or in the description section below. As I've mentioned in my other smartwatch reviews, the apps you get for the Pebble is what makes this product so strong. Unlike other devices like the Fitbit Surge, being able to tailor what matters to you will make it extremely useful. For me, I do like to track my fitness while working out with photography, checking out my Evernotes, and getting ball scores, and you can do all this without having to take out your smartphone, which means your smartphone lasts a little longer because there's a lower chance of you breaking it. In terms of handling, the Pebble Time isn't touch enabled, which kind of goes back to my analogy of the Smart and the feature phones. It took me about a week for me to stop stabbing the Pebble Time after swapping it out with my Apple Watch. The buttons on my Pebble Time have a nice response to them, and flexing my wrist hasn't resulted in any accidental press. The display of the Pebble Time works in all light conditions, and because of the e-ink, display will always be on, so you're not waiting for the screen to turn on like your Apple Watch or Moto 360. The color e-ink screen isn't great for pictures, but that's kind of e-ink for you. And from my perspective, the colors just generally seem dull, and I guess that's just e-ink for you. One of the things that really annoyed me was just actually how small the Pebble Time screen really is, especially when compared to some of the other smartwatches. Over 50% of the entire watch face is actually just dead space. It's useless. I found the notification system to be a little basic and was limiting in terms of customization. Now, at the beginning of the video, I did say that the Pebble Time didn't seem as smart or feel as smart, and that mostly has to do with the OS. Navigating between the Pebble Classic and the Pebble Time is generally the same, but when you're going through the pages or whatever you're calling in on the Pebble Classic, it's very stark, it's very clean, it's relatively quick. But on the Pebble Time, you have all these transitions and animations that make the entire experience just seem too cute. The swoosh cloud when the notification gets dismissed, the animated sun on the timeline, the blur from navigating up the timeline just seems really unnecessary in my opinion. This is a very personal preferences. Others may find these cute transitions endearing, but I don't feel that they really add much to the Pebble Time. It just makes it feel very childish, and maybe that's what Pebble is aiming this device towards. In terms of sensor, it still only has an accelerometer like the Pebble Classic. GPS is still coming from your phone, and you're still going to need to use your old fingers on your jugular to record your heart rate. I know that Pebble has intended on creating smart bands for the Time, but as of right now, I haven't really found anything concrete to talk about. If they do pick up the slack on that portion of the device, it will make the Pebble Time very unique, especially when compared to other smartwatches, but as of right now, it's just vaporware in my head. Will the Pebble Life change your life? Short answer is no. Certain apps will be very useful and use them on a day-to-day basis, but it won't make you any healthier like the Apple Watch would. I found that while my 4 weeks of wearing this watch, that if I was to not put it on in the morning, I was at my front door and I realized I didn't have it on me, there was no way I was going to take off my shoes, go back up to my bedroom and get the watch. If it was the Apple Watch, I would be so far down the hallway, making sure that I had this on me all the time. So that's something to consider, is that I don't think I could really live without the Apple Watch now after using it for a while. I can definitely live without the Pebble Time. In fact, I went like 2 days without actually using it. I was just like, I don't have my watch on. Again, I've given this device a score 3.8 A's out of 5. If you got $200 and that's all you want to spend on a smartwatch, this is about as good as you can get, unless you're an Android user, which then you can go and get a Moto 360, which after updating this watch to Android Wear 1.3, the interactive smartwatches, it blows the Pebble Time way out of the water, but I've got a different comparison video for that. So I'm Aaron the Ho. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below. I'm more than happy to answer them. Find me on Google+, Twitter, Facebook. Check out my website. There's stuff on there, and I spent a lot of time on my website, working on my website, so do check that out. So that's all I got. Did you guys find Monty? He's right there. You can see him. He's right there, staring at the camera, or staring at me. He's right there. So some of you will already know that I'm going to give Pebble the worst customer service award for 2015. Like, I order a lot of products online and sometimes they don't show up. Like Incipio was pretty bad like that. The hit case wasn't great, but at least it showed up and they were pretty decent about it. This Pebble Time getting to me was such a hassle. And I look back on it, it only took like a month between me asking and them actually arriving, but I went through 3 different tracking numbers and probably half a dozen emails. The first time I asked them, I was just like, I didn't really register that my products didn't show up because I didn't order them right away on Kickstarter. I was probably one of the last people to order them. I was like, order 55,000 out of 57,000. So I wasn't expecting them to show up right away. But I saw emails for pre-orders for the Time, right? And I was just like, if they're taking pre-orders, I haven't got my Kickstarter watch, maybe it got lost. Sent them an email to the Kickstarter page, nothing. Sent them another email, nothing. A week later, I sent it to their regular Kickstarter or to the regular support, nothing. That went on for about a week and a half, and after a week and a half, I got my tracking numbers. Like, yeah, your thing shipped. No, it didn't. They gave me a tracking number, but it didn't track anything. It was a dead number, right? So I sent them an email like, yeah, tracking number doesn't work, tracking number doesn't work, tracking number doesn't work. And a week later, like, oh yeah, we found a problem. Really? Okay, fine, you found a problem, ship it now. And I asked the lady, I was like, are you gonna expedite it? Like, I've been asking, you've misshipped it already. Do I get it quicker? No, they're gonna send it by however way I paid for it. So they actually sent me 2 tracking numbers for that last package. And the last tracking number that said, this is the real one. No, that one was dead too. It was the second oldest tracking number that actually worked, and I finally got it. Now, this entire process took only a month, but it's still very frustrating when you don't get any responses, but you go look at their Twitter feed and they got all this stuff about, yay, we love you, yay, we love you. Yeah, no, annoyed, angry.